Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Executive Officer, ServiceMax, Dave Yarnold.
Wow. Good morning. Good morning, and welcome to Maximize. Wow. This is just fantastic. I can't tell you how gratifying this is. I was just thinking back, this is actually our fifth Maximize now. And I was thinking back to our first Maximize, which I think we had it in a room at the Hotel Palomar that was about the size of this stage. And I remember thinking, I wonder if anyone will show up. And we had about 20 people at that first event, and half of them were from one company. Are there any folks from Biorad here today? Thank you. Woo! Hey. If it wasn't for you guys, there might not have been a Maximize too. So thanks. I will be forever grateful for that. So we've got an amazing morning set up for you today. I'm stoked. There's so much substance, some great customer stories that we've put together, a bunch of tracks. I kept watching the registration numbers. We're up to 600 attendees now, which it kind of blows me away. I'll come back to that in a second. 25 partners. So for all the partners in the room, thank you so much for your sponsorship and for what you're doing for us. Really appreciate it. So 600 people all here, not because we hired some crazy band for the party tonight, but with one objective in mind. And that objective that we're focused on here is elevating field service. Field service is something that's near and dear to all of our hearts that are here today. And it's elevating field service in a number of respects. One is obviously just doing a better and better job for your customers, elevating the level of service, raising up the tightness of the relationship that you have with your customers. There's so much opportunity there. And obviously the tools that we'll see today, all designed primarily to drive that. But it's also about elevating the importance of field service within your company. You're doing amazing things. You are driving a lot of growth and profitability within your companies, and we need to communicate that throughout the ranks of the executive teams at all of your companies. And finally, as an industry, everybody needs to understand what's going on in this room, and we're going to get a sense of some of the amazing results that are coming out of this industry, of this domain. Everybody needs to understand this. Every CEO of every manufacturing company needs to understand the bottom line impact and also the impact of the relationships that you're building, what that can do to their company. And I have no doubt that every single CEO can benefit from what you all are doing, what we're doing together. And we want to see that grow, and also want to see service as a profession grow as well. So to that end goal, we found 4 common themes throughout the sessions that we'll be presenting today and tomorrow, and I want to talk a little bit about those 4 themes. So the first thing, and there's been a lot of discussion about this, is the whole evolving business model. It's happening around us. It's happening in the software industry, certainly with the rising of the software as a service industry. Most manufacturing companies have been operating really since the 1800s under the old business model where you focus a lot of your efforts on manufacturing a product and then selling that product and maximizing the heck out of the profit on that initial transaction. And then you do everything possible going forward to minimize the cost of everything that happens after that sale, right? So that's been really how business has been done for the last 200 plus years. Well, that's changing. And you're probably seeing this happen around you, that there's a new model emerging, a model based on outcomes, shared interests, deepening customer relationships. And I see this everywhere, and I'll give you a couple of examples. GE was one of the first proponents of this. They've been doing this services first kind of a model for the last 20 plus years, and now you see today in their industrial segments, they drive over 80% of their operating profit out of services. And I watched Jeff Immelt at Mind & Machines last year, their IoT conference, And what he talked about was getting deeper, more connected relationships with his customers to drive towards specific outcomes. For example, in their rail car business, if he can work with his customers to enable their rail cars to go an extra mile per day, it adds a quarter to their bottom line earnings. And that's the kind of outcome that they're focused on. I see at Rolls-Royce in their aircraft division, they have this total care program, which is basically uptime as a service. And they're driving 47% of their revenues now through that particular program. Just 2 weeks ago, I was at the Field Service USA show, and Joe Pinto, who heads up global services for Cisco Systems, the whole topic of his discussion was how to move to an outcome-based model. So this is happening. This is something that you all may be encountering in your businesses, but everybody's thinking about how do I move to this longer-term, recurring revenue-based, shared success type of model. The second issue, talent, right? Everybody's struggling with talent in this industry. We see aging population. It seems like within service organizations, it's really a double whammy. As you see aging populations within service groups, a lot of the tribal knowledge that you've accumulated in your service organizations is walking out the door as all these folks are retiring. So you've got that dynamic. You've got the dynamic, there are more service jobs. There's more opportunity, and I'm sure this outcome-based model is going to generate even more jobs. The statistic on the slide, 800,000 new service jobs over the next few years just within the US. So as you think about the younger generations and what's important to them, collaborating with technology, understanding how they're going to make a difference in this profession, understanding how to connect, be relevant, be involved in something relevant. This is a big, big topic, I think, for every service organization that we talk to. So how do you become attractive and become a place that people want to build their careers around? Next is selling and marketing your services. How many of you are actively, as part of your corporate pitch, differentiating on the way that you deliver service? The data says not that many, right? And it's funny, we're so used to buying and selling products based on features and functions. But now we talk about what's important to customers is relationships and long-term outcomes. That's all based on service, or at least in large part based on service. So we all need to figure out how to evolve this, bake this into the message going forward, marketing and selling services. And finally, for all of this to be successful, there's just a whole process for getting buy-in. Getting investment. It's not about the initial software purchase and the initial standing up, not just about that. It's about understanding the new metrics, the new KPIs that are part of this model, and being able to crisply articulate the value internally with credibility to executive teams and CFOs. It's about change management, a lot of training, a lot of relentless reinforcement to get your organization ready for change and really open to change and accepting of change. And finally, there's a whole bunch of cultural stuff that goes along with that. So, and we're going to have Gary Hamill here to speak specifically about culture and how that impacts change. So those are our 4 themes that as you are here for the next couple of days, you'll see a lot of our content will revolve. We'll weave these themes in and out of a lot that we're talking about. Should be great. Okay, little audience participation, very little. So one of the things that's pretty cool is I get to talk to analysts a lot. They actually want to hear from me now. They want to know what's going on at ServiceMax. So I have a lot of these conversations, and I've had them over the last few years, and they've evolved. So when I ask a question, I'm going to put up 3 options. What do you think gets the biggest surprise reaction from the analysts that I speak to? So let me give you the three options here. Okay, so any for number 1? Okay, few. That would have been a great answer a couple of years ago. I think that I have been so harping on the fact that there are 20 million field service techs around the world. Everybody kind of gets that now. Everybody's kind of started to notice all the vans with all the logos cruising around. Any takers on number 2? Okay. And actually, the answer is number 3. When I start to go through things like 22% increased revenue on average from our customers after they implement ServiceMax, 22% uplift to the top line, 17% of the time, first 17% increase in first-time fix rates. You all know 17%. You get the job done the first time, what that does for your capacity, your cost, your customer loyalty. I mean, that's such a great stat. So I go through some of the stories to back some of these details up, and folks are blown away.